Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome to another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Durock sunflower palm switches. Quick disclaimer, I did get sent these for free by Keys for All, but of course that will not affect my opinion on these whatsoever. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's get straight into the review. Starting with the switch specs. These are a tactile 5-pin cherry style switch. They also have a 67-gram spring, a palm housing, and a mystery material stem that I think they're keeping secret just so that other companies don't maybe take the material or use it at all. I'm sure there's something special going on about it, which would make sense. These switches are about 70 cents a switch, which is not really that great, I'd say. It's going against switches like the Boba U4Ts, which I have here. These are 60 cents a switch and are considered some of the best heavy tactiles you can get out there. With the specs out of the way, let's take a quick look at the tolerances of the switch. I'm going to be comparing the Durock Sunflowers to the Boba U4Ts since they are a pretty comparable tactile switch to those and also are the only other tactile I have on hand. The Durock Sunflowers seem to have barely any wobble at all actually. Less wobble up and down than left and right. Basically no wobble whatsoever. And honestly, same on the U4Ts, though there's a tad bit more left to right on the U4Ts and up and down as well. I'd say the Durock Sunflowers have a slightly better tolerances when it comes to stem wobble, though honestly they're both so good you're not really going to notice it at all. I wouldn't use that as something to decide your purchase at all when comparing these two. Alright, so like I said earlier, these are a heavy tactile switch. I would say honestly compared to the U4Ts, which are already a very heavy tactile switch, some people say even heavier than something like Holy Pandas, these are even heavier than U4Ts. The bump is a bit rounder and smoother, but heavier as well. As you can see here, it easily overtakes the U4T when it comes to the bump. I mean, I guess they do trade a little bit, but especially when typing on a full board, it's definitely noticeable that the Durock Sunflowers have a much heavier bump. And by the way, these U4Ts have a 68-gram spring, and these have a 67-gram spring, so I feel like the spring shouldn't be making much of a difference. Also, the smoothness of these switches is honestly the main thing that surprised me. These are super smooth, even stock. I thought U4Ts were a pretty smooth switch stock, especially for a tactile, but honestly in comparison, these are just much smoother, especially on the bump. There's a noticeable scratch on the U4T, but the Durock Sunflowers I think are much smoother than them, and so just the bump itself, it just feels perfectly smooth, like basically no scratch. Like basically no scratch whatsoever. Even stock, they're very good. I think that's one of the main appeals of this switch. So if that's something you're into, then these are a very good option, assuming you don't care much about sound, which we'll get into right now. I'm going to give you a sound test of the Durock Sunflowers and the U4Ts on my VAS 60, which has been paper towel modded using F44 plate, along with PBT purple, blue, and white from Novel Keys. Here's a quick sound test, and then I'll give my thoughts on it. Did you hear it? There's a tiny bit of tick. The sound itself, not including the tick, is actually quite nice. It's not really as stocky or deep as the U4Ts which I have here, but that's not a bad thing. I've actually been really liking more high-pitched sounds lately, but that tick, that little tiny noise that is noticeable, even on all these which are lubed, just really kills it for me. Yeah, if you're someone that cares a lot about sound, I feel like that's something that might just annoy you a lot, which is honestly the main deal breaker for me. I wouldn't buy these with my own money, so like I don't see why I would recommend them either. Obviously, I'm here to just point out my thoughts on it to help you make a decision for yourself, so just because I don't like them does not mean you won't like them. You may love the feel, which is the audience I think these switches are suited for. Someone who cares about really nice feel, smooth, big tactile bump, but maybe not too much of the sound. And honestly, I might just be a bit sensitive to that. Maybe some people won't even care too much about the ticking, and if you're wondering, I don't think there's any way to get rid of it. I tried lubing the top housing, the stem, the leaf, the rails, and the legs of the stem as well. And even after lubing all of that, it doesn't really leave. If you care about stock experience, if you want a nice stock switch, let's talk about it really quick actually, the stock experience of these switches. So again, they're really smooth even stock, and even on the tactile bump. Of course, they had that little tick, and they have a lot of spring noise, so I would recommend at least lubing the spring. If you want to do minimal work, then yeah, these are perfectly fine to use with just lubing the spring. But again, you're still going to get that tick noise, which is kind of annoying. U4Ts, on the other hand, have a very nice feel stock. They have a really nice sound that a lot of people like. Obviously, that's preference. Maybe they're not as smooth, they don't have a tick, and they have basically no spring ping or leaf noise whatsoever. It's really nice, actually. And to be honest, for the majority of people, I would recommend the U4Ts over these in just about any situation. They're more expensive than U4Ts, and they don't really offer much more other than a bigger bump and maybe slightly smoother. So I guess it does depend a lot on the person that's buying. But for me, honestly, I wouldn't buy these, so I wouldn't really recommend them. You can make your own decision, and if you are interested in these, because they do, in my opinion, feel better than U4Ts. You can check it on the description. I have an affiliate link code to Keeps For All, which you can check out. You can get 5% off them and support me, so it's a win-win. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching to the end if you did. And thank you so much for 600 subscribers. We're going pretty fast, which honestly is really exciting. This might be a very unrealistic goal, but maybe we can try hitting 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Who knows? Yeah, I hope you have a great day, and goodbye.